What's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. It is Friday, the 23rd of August, one day before the kickoff at Selhurst Park against West Ham. As always, make sure to get involved. It is going to be a very busy show. Another outgoing officially announced. We'll be reacting to that, as well as some incomings. We've got press conference that we're going to be talking about with Oliver Glasner, what he said about the signings and what he said about injuries. There's a few injury updates as well, people. So it's going to be a busy show. But first of all, thank you. Thank you to every single one of you that's been subscribing, liking. Really, really appreciate you all. We nearly hit 200 likes on yesterday's stream as well. I think we exceeded 200 likes and the stream before. So please, if you do enjoy the stream, even if you're watching a replay, it helps the algorithm massively. If you can drop a like, that would be much appreciated. And It's a Friday, one day before the game against West Ham. But I'll be honest, it seems like the focus has been everything by the West Ham game leading up to it.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. And I hope that that's just true for the media and all the fans and not for the team. I think hopefully the team's been locked in with training and things, and they're really focused on that match. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, Oliver Glasner did speak about it. We will wrap up the with the stream talking about some of the key stuff mentioned in the press conference. So we'll get into that. But yeah, look, I mean, let's start off with the official confirmation news. I mean, me and Patrick spoke about it when we saw the David Ornstein report, but now it's been officially confirmed that Joachim Andersen has joined Fulham on a 5-year with an option to extend by the club for another year to T. I mean, he's getting the money. I feel like he's first of all, to him.
Yeah, he went and got the bag.
I mean, that's a fantastic deal for him.
He went and got the bag. Shout out to his agent. Shout out to his agent.
I've seen, who was it? I think it might be in Stan in the chat. You said that this reminds me of kind of that Sacco to Palace kind of move with his age, especially as well. But what do you think about the move and the finances involved?
I mean, I think it's a great deal for us. With getting that type of money for a guy in his situation. I mean, I'm not surprised that they made the move for him. I'm more surprised at what they gave him in the move. That's, I mean, to be tied to him until he's to be tied to a central defender until he's 24, until he's 34, with the option for another year, while paying him 100. I think they're going to pay him like 150 K
a pound, yeah.
Like
for 5 years.
That is 5 years. I mean, he tripled because he was on what? How much was he on with us? 80? No, he almost doubled it. Doubled his wages. So great for him, man. Last time he's with them, it did end up in relegation, which I don't necessarily think will happen this time. I don't think that'll be the case, but happy for him, and I don't think by any means we were fleeced in this deal. I think it was a great deal for us overall. So I think the most important thing for us now is to move efficiently and finish up our window the right way.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, we've done deadline day shows, and the window actually ends a bit earlier this time around. It ends literally in 7 days' time, people. 30th of August on a Friday, rather than the usual 1st of September. So we've got 7 days left.
Yeah.
And I mean, we haven't spoke about the deadline day show, but it's 100% going to be happening. I mean, we've done it in windows where we expected no kind of business, and it is going to be busy this week.
Yeah, because it was dead last year. Last year was pretty dead for us. I feel like we didn't have anything like at the deadline.
I mean, this might be the busiest one so far.
Yeah, it could be. It stands to be unless we're just so efficient that we get so much done in the week leading up to it.
With Andersen, I'll just quickly add this. It might sound harsh. Some people may get onto me about this, but maybe it's because of I don't know. I just don't agree with all the crying about Andersen. Like, I understand some people's frustration, but people acting like our season is over because Joachim Andersen's left the football club. Look, there were a few elements that kind of didn't go, that I couldn't get over, especially last season. His actions towards the fans. I do think he's a good player. He's a good defender, but he's a hot and cold player. When he was on form, fantastic, but a lot of players were on form under Oliver Glasner. There were weaknesses to his games as well as strengths. His passing, of course, was a key element. By speed, sometimes composure. I'm just happy. I just hope that we don't talk about Anderson in a week's time. I just want it to be the last time that we mentioned him. That thanks for everything he's done to the football club.
Mm-hmm.
But the hysteria about Anderson leaving, I don't know. I can't personally. I can't agree with it with the replacements that we could potentially bring into the football club. I still feel like we can progress from that.
Right.
And yeah, like he's. I mean, we've got £30 million, which is fantastic for me, in terms of business wise. Making a profit on Anderson on 28 with 2 years left on his contract, and also he's got a 5-year contract. He's not the best defender in the league, nowhere near the best defender in the league. Guehi is a better defender than Anderson, and I feel like people. I don't know, maybe we're looking at last season under Oliver Glasner and looking at the spells, but I remember a lot of bad spells of Anderson. A lot. Not
Well,
saying
and then here's the thing for me too.
he wasn't like it's not like he's a player that's been consistent since he joined the football club. No, he's of course not every player can strive to be in that same level of consistency, but his drop-offs at times, it was noticeable, very noticeable. And last season, I don't know why we're acting like last season Joachim Andersen had the 10 out of 10 season. If we talk about the season,
no,
he didn't. He wasn't excellent. In fact, he was very. At some points of the season, it was very bad, and he let his frustrations out on the fans. So I'm not.
And he's probably, honestly, he's probably the most mistake-prone of all the center backs. Just being quite honest, he's the one that's the most mistake-prone, and he showed.
I don't understand. Maybe I see something different, but I don't understand the cry about Anderson so much. I don't.
Well, the thing is,
I think his passing is good. Don't get me wrong, but it's reached a level of being overrated for us as well. As I've literally read out the stats as well, I'll read out the stats again. Guehi is literally, in terms of numbers, is not far behind, or is last season technically he was better in categories than Anderson in terms of his passing. Like they're not. It's not like Anderson is the only player in the team that can pass. Like, of course, he had that duties with Glasner and with other managers, but Guehi, we saw it even against Brentford with diagonal balls. I mean, we're too fixated on diagonal balls, acting like it's everything to the side. It's a nice advantage to have, but I'm not going to keep a player because he can do diagonal balls for £30 million. That's lack of pace.
Here's the thing: if the best part about your,
I don't know.
If the best part about your center back is his ability to play diagonal balls in the air, you don't have a very good center back. Like that shouldn't be the one quality that stands out about you more than anything else. Like it just shouldn't. That's an added bonus to having a center back. It is that ball playing over the top ability. It shouldn't be your best quality. That's just the truth. But I digress. The thing that we gotta realize is that no matter what happens, no matter what moves are made, there's going to be people that are upset or acting like they're upset because God knows that. I
feel like it's moved from upset. There's people are upset when Elisa left, but I feel like now it's more. I can feel the anxiety. I can feel the panic. It feels like.
Oh yeah, I mean our fan base is full of chicken littles. Our fan base is full of people that think the sky is falling constantly. I mean,
I don't know why is that then? Do you think
because I mean, a lot of it is I don't understand the pessimism of fans. There is this air of pessimism that fans have that I don't understand. I don't know, and I'm not like placing something on it. I don't know if it's.
I've been pessimistic in the past.
Football?
I've been very pessimistic, but there was a reason for that. I mean, the replacements that are being lined up and that are being spoken about, of course, time will tell, but they're not bad players. In fact, I feel like throughout the season, we could be ending up talking about, wow, like we've actually, is this player an upgrade? Like the replacements are not bad. Like, there were main reasons to be pessimistic about Palace. There were so many reasons in the past.
I mean, as a fan, that's the ride, the joy, the pain, the pessimism. That's the truth. You know what I'm saying? But I think the people that were pessimistic from way back when that are pessimistic now, I mean, pessimistic, that's kind of crazy. That doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? the thing that also stands out is the fact that, like you said, you can't please everybody. So no matter what they do, you're going to have people that aren't happy about it. For me, in thinking about it more and more, it's like I think it's okay to love your club, but also have a problem with the group of fans that behave in a certain way. You know what I mean? I love Crystal Palace to death. I love our club. I love most of our fan base. But I don't know if this might just be the ones that are online, but it's kind of crazy. Like how outlandish and negative, disrespectful. Like, I understand that you have your gripes or your preferences towards certain players over others, but going as far as tagging guys like the chairman and tagging guys like Dougie and attacking them, and that type of stuff is a little bit too far for me personally. Especially when we have a club that's doing better than we ever have. Let's be quite honest.
I've been the fan that's been angry and frustrated. I've been that, and it feels weird to me to be on this side
right
Maybe
now.
It might be different when the window closes next week Friday. But I've literally, if you've been watching the channel, I know there's a lot of people that's joined new, and the community is growing, and that's great. But like, I've been the one that's raised like serious questions about the ambition of the football club, where we're heading towards. But I just don't feel like that yet. I mean, there was a question here, which I think kind of sums up where we are right now. Michael saying there are no replacements yet, just rumors. Andersen officially got announced an hour ago. Like, this is
and you just saw
like,
that
there's this sort of anxiety. I just feel like, for the benefit of everyone, just like deep breath, and then trust me, if we don't make the signings in a week's time, which I don't think that will happen, and that's why I am more relaxed right now, especially with defense, we will replace Joachim Andersen. I mean,
you literally had a manager of the team of our most likely target retract his statement about him not leaving.
Yeah, like there's a lot of panic, a lot of anxiety.
Yeah. Like I said, a lot of chicken littles. The sky is falling.
Yeah, and maybe that's because I was happy with Dougie staying at the football club and rejecting Newcastle, because not only did he reject Newcastle at the football club, that just gave me an insight in terms of he couldn't move closer to his family. So why did Dougie actually turn down Newcastle, a bigger project, closer to family, to stay at Crystal Palace? Well, there must be a reason. Why did Oliver Glasner not join Bayern Munich this summer? There must be a that's
Absolutely.
why I just don't. People are talking about when is Glasner going to walk. Like, what? There's no signs of Glasner walking. Where have we even got this theory from? But
I think some people would rather be right than be happy. Like, they would rather be pessimistic and jump to conclusions like that of, Glasner's going to leave, just so that in the event that it actually happens, somebody can say, I told you so, and they would rather have the satisfaction of being right than us just being successful moving forward.
And just to add to this point, and then we're going to move on to the rumors. You're speaking like replacement rumors are definitely arriving. LaCroix is great if it happens, but then we're also speaking like here that everyone has left the football club. And that's my point. It's only been Elise and Joachim Andersen, and that's where I'm leaning towards. I mean, Jordan Ayew probably is going to be announced as well, but there's a lot of people with Guehi losing their heads over Guehi, saying this and that. And to this day, going into tomorrow's game, Andersen's been officially announced, and Elise, which was announced ages ago, and Andersen was announced about an hour ago, and we're already talking about Andersen's replacements not being at the football club. It would be nice in an ideal world to have the replacement in before we sell, but then I don't know how true this is, but Steve Parish did mention that with the PSR rules, it makes it a bit more difficult to bring in the place without selling the place first. So, and I haven't always backed Parish or the board. I've raised serious questions about them, but if you're adding everything together, it makes sense. But that's what I'm saying. Guehi's gone. So I can say LaCroix is 100% coming. Guehi's captain in the side. In fact, we can touch on that now. in terms of Mark Guehi, he's literally released a quote, and we'll go through it as well. To Fabrizio Romano, he said that it's a huge honor to be captain of this football club. Now we look ahead to the season in hope that we can create something like the momentum we had at the end of last campaign. For me, that doesn't sound like a player that's going tomorrow.
No.
Well, he's not going tomorrow because in addition to that, Oliver Glasner has said that Mark Guehi is a captain for tomorrow.
Yep.
So
why would you keep captaining a player that is on the precipice of leaving your club?
Because look what Andersen got a position.
Why would you? Matter of fact, if you have such a high stakes transfer that's really on the table, if we're really that close, 65, 70 million, why would you even play him? Why would you risk him getting injured
if you're serious
us losing out on a 70 million pound move? Why would you play him? Why would you risk that?
Well, look, this is the whole point, though. We're like, I can say Guehi's 100% staying, but I'm not saying that. But I do believe when you add things together and how Newcastle been moving, I think there's a big chance of Guehi staying. But then the whole narrative has been that Guehi's already left. He hasn't left. So yeah, like if Guehi was on the verge of leaving, he doesn't start tomorrow, first of all. And second of all, he doesn't lead the side as captain. And third of all, he doesn't say he's looking ahead to the season. That's not a player that's desperate for me to leave. I don't think Guehi has. I think it's been misunderstood, and this way it goes to Newcastle propaganda. I honestly think it's Newcastle propaganda. That's the only way to describe it, because for the last month or so, we've been hearing Newcastle edging closer. Just cliche terms. Newcastle closer. Guehi's on the verge of leaving. Jamal, where are we getting that from? From the sources, right? If Guehi
was on the verge of leaving, he wouldn't be starting for us and captaining us tomorrow, Jamal.
Because Guehi was on the verge of leaving it.
That wouldn't make any sense.
Game, and the same thing happened, and Guehi's on the verge of leaving again. It's just this Newcastle journalist who keeps spouting this nonsense that's created this anxiety.
Guehi gets hurt tomorrow, and if he's on the verge and Guehi gets hurt tomorrow, we stand to lose a $70 million transaction. And if it was on the verge, why would we do that?
We've reached a point, by the way. We've reached a point with Guehi where he doesn't have a release clause, so we don't have to sell him. Even if they meet that valuation, if it's on deadline day and it's like the last 2 hours of the window, we don't have to sell him. We don't have to sell him.
And did you notice that when Andersen got this close and when Ayew got this close, where are they not? They're not with the team. They're not with the squad. Ayew hasn't even been announced yet for Leicester yet. But guess where he's not? He's not in our starting 11. He's not in the squad. Think about it.
And that is just a bit of perspective. Like, it's crazy for me anyways, because I've been very negative in the past. It's crazy that I have this stance right now. But I'm just looking at the situation as it is. It just, adding everything together. It just, it's all of the Newcastle journalists that's been pushing this. If Guehi was on the verge of leaving, he wouldn't be captain tomorrow, let alone playing. And on top of that, he wouldn't be speaking to the media saying he's looking ahead to a new season. Look,
we didn't play $8 million worthy Ayew. You think we're gonna play 70 million pound Guehi if he's on the verge of leaving? Come on, man, have some common sense. Here's the thing, though, D, and Patrick made a great point to us that makes a lot of sense about what we see from our fan base, especially online in particular, or on social media. What we have to realize is we are now, 11 years? 11 years in the Prem. A lot of these fans that we're seeing rant and rave and act a fool online are fans that have only ever seen us as a Premier League club.
Yeah,
19-year-olds, 20 years old. What I'm saying is they haven't seen the true struggle that Crystal Palace has gone through in the past.
I don't think it's anything to do with it. I understand what Patrick's coming from. I think it just, yeah. I just literally like. So if Guehi doesn't leave, then what happens? Like, what happens then? What was the purpose of all of this stress?
And once again, Jamal, I had to front load it because you don't seem to understand. You're saying that he's on the verge of leaving. And if a player was truly on the verge of leaving with 70 million pounds at stake, we're not going to play him because we stand to lose the transaction in the event of an injury. We didn't do it with Jordan Ayew. We probably wouldn't have done it with Michael Elise had the
Jordan
season
Ayew, for
been
example,
going.
Jordan Ayew hasn't even left. He hasn't even officially left.
Yes,
And
and
he's out of the
and
squad. He's out of the squad for a reason because there's genuine. That's the thing. This is the whole point about this.
If he was
He's
on the verge of
an
leaving,
£8 million signing, which you
he'd be
might
7 hours north of you guys in Newcastle preparing for his medical, and he wouldn't be in our team.
exactly. If he's on a verge, that's what the verge means, and that's the thing. He was on the verge of leaving against Brentford as well.
Yes,
Anyway,
the reality is that they've made multiple offers and none of them have been accepted and they've been turned down. And now they're looking into other options because they don't want to pay what we want for him. That is the reality of it.
yeah. Well, look, let's see. For me, right now, I mean, I'm not going to be stressing myself over something that hasn't happened. I mean, Andersen's happened. Ayew's going to most likely happen with Guehi. As of even the other days, as journalists saying he's edging closer. Hold up, let me ask you a question. Is edging closer? Ask the question. So, have you bid higher than the amount report last time? No. And in the same tweet, you'll also talk about you're still looking at alternatives. So, what is actually edging closer? Because you just spouted the same news as last week, and you're literally saying it's edging closer, where nothing has actually edged forward. So, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's actually crazy. But anyways, let's move on to the actual news of plays coming in, and that is according to Sammy Mockville from the Daily Mail, is that Crystal Palace have a genuine interest in Raheem Sterling. The club are trying to understand the exact conditions of the deal and whether it is realistic. There are obvious obstacles such as the £325,000 per week wage. See, I'll ask that. I mean, that's a lot of money, right? In wages.
Yeah, definitely a lot.
And that's a massive obstacle. But there needs to be a compromise made because I really don't see what club out there is going to be willing to pay that much money for Raheem Sterling in the first place. So as much as that's an obstacle right now,
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a compromise made, such as Chelsea covering a certain amount of the wages.
It would have to be a significant amount of the wages. I mean, if you think about it, man, what he's on right now, if they covered half of his wages, he still would be our most expensive player by like between 30 and 50,000 a week. Like that's how much he makes right now. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think we could be potentially pushed into a deal like that? Let's say we don't have anyone else lined up on a loan move. I mean, we have sold a few players. I is going to be leaving as well. I don't know exactly the budget involved in the club, but let's say deadline day. All right, cool. You know what? We'll cover half of the deal. And do you think that would be bad for Palace if we have genuine interest?
I think it would be bad for Palace. That's a lot to take on, and I don't think we'll be pressured into it simply because I think, especially from hearing what Glasner said today and the things that he said in his faith in França, it seems like, we're going to have more than enough options for those spots moving forward. So I don't feel like there's pressure in thinking that, we're shorthanded. We need to get somebody in here to make a rushed possible bad move in that situation. I don't think that would be, and like just, track record wise, our front office is very, very, very considerate about how they splash out money. So
yeah, I understand that, but would you not want a move like that? Let's say if we didn't have any alternatives, you'd rather go with the same amount of forwards than bringing Raheem Sterling if we do have the ability to pay him on loan.
From the way you put it, the way you described it, if we were covering half of his wages and it came down to it, would I bring him in? My answer is no, I would not.
Yeah, Sterling is yesterday's papers. What do we think, chat, as well, about Raheem Sterling? I've seen a lot of no's. And also another thing is, forget about the money involved. I mean, how do we fit him into this Palace side? Because, of course, Daichi Kamada is Oliver Glasner's man. I think Sterling will be battling out with him. But then Sterling also, he can play down the right-hand side. But mainly, he has played down the left. So what would this mean for Eze? How do you think if Sterling was to join, how would he be able to fit in if he would?
That would be the next most logical question, how he fits in. I mean, the one thing you can say about Raheem Sterling is that he is an out and out winger, and he's always been that. He's an extremely diminutive player too. He's small. He's not a big guy.
But then I feel like with the system that we have, and as I said about like a flair player, someone you can like easily like navigate through the gaps, and he's quite fast as well. And as you said, he's small. I feel like if we have like Mitchell as like the wide option, I feel like Sterling can operate through them tight spaces. So I'm not against this. I think it's a kind of a different kind of signing to what we have with Sarr, who relies more on his pace and his physical abilities. I think Sterling's got that.
I think all things considered, if you can somehow get Chelsea to cover the majority of his wages, if you bring him in, I think he can do a really good job for you because he's a professional and he's super talented. Like let's just keep that honest. Like if we can get the right wage set up, if Raheem Sterling was to come in, more than likely on loan, as we all know, I think he could definitely do the job. I just think it's a matter of how we go about letting him do that job, or how we go about integrating him into things and what it means for other guys. Because he's a super talented guy. I mean, and I think he can play on the right-hand side. I just know that he is more accustomed to being that on the left.
In an ideal scenario, yes. I mean, wages, age, it's not really like what we're looking for in this model. But then again, I think if you take a step back and look at it football perspective, he's an experienced player, England international. Yes, he's 29, but I feel like he's got enough in his game to give, especially to Palace as we're trying to push on. I feel like he'll be a quality addition. So I'm not against that. And I think this move makes a lot of sense towards the end of the window where your other targets who are either gone or unavailable right now, if you don't have any options, then I don't think Sterling is a bad shout. I mean, he would offer something else to this attack. And I can see him playing in those tight spaces. For example, against Brentford, I can see Raheem Sterling linking up with Eze, and then you have a Munoz. Imagine Munoz, for example. Imagine Munoz and Sterling. People are talking about what Kamada's. I'm not writing up Kamada by any means, but Sterling will offer something different than what Kamada offers. Kamada might be technically a bit more gifted about passing ability, etc. But Sterling, because he can navigate through them tight spaces, is fast as well because it's small. I mean, you can see that quick link-up play. I mean, that's what we saw with Elise. So I think it will give a variety to our attack and a different option. So I'm not ruling it out, but of course there are obstacles as the reporter has suggested. So I guess it's a case of let's see what actually happens and if any other clubs are not interested. I reckon he's 100% leaving Chelsea. He is 100% leaving Chelsea, and so Chelsea will be willing to make a compromise. But this could go down to deadline day if no one else goes for him, and then they might be like, you know what, all right, cool. We'll cover the wages or whatever. Just take Sterling because we don't want him at the football club. So yeah. And Luke saying no to Sterling. Sterling would be a great addition, says Sean. So people are divided.
Yeah, once again, I mean, there's no move that everybody's gonna back 100%.
Yeah. I'm not paying for it, so yes. Red saying Chelsea have.
That's one way of looking at it.
You are cheaper. So yeah.
Robert, they definitely do.
Yeah, Robert saying Sterling is one of the best wingers at finding space in the box and making intelligent runs. He's not so good at creating on his own anymore. I mean, let's see. Under Oliver Glasner, I'm not writing off. I'm not writing off, especially when you see Nathaniel Klein resurge in his career, for example, under Glasner, and Will Hughes, for example, he's improved as well. So I think Glasner is a smart manager. I think he can make smart decisions. So I think, I wouldn't be against it. Of course, this would need Glasner's approval as well. So yeah, I mean, Madueke is a shout, but I don't know. I don't know if they're selling him.
Hey, once he scored that goal yesterday, I was like, yep, we're not getting him.
And also, don't be surprised if Will somehow ends up at the football club. I'm not saying that based on any knowledge, but don't be. It just smells like a deadline day move. Because deadline day, that's when clubs get serious and desperate. If they want
that's when clubs can't play. That's when basically deadline day is when a whole lot of clubs that have been trying to stand on business are getting their bluffs called.
Yeah, now it's
after the bluff's been called, it's like, okay, well, they found us out. We need to make this money because we still need to move this player. So
yeah, let's see. But there's of course more news, people, especially with defense now that Joachim Andersen has been announced that he's joined Fulham. So let's start off with LaCroix, who the manager, I believe earlier on in the week, did say that LaCroix is staying at the football club. However, he's changed his tune today, Ralph, saying the following, according to Petty Goal, saying that I already knew when I said that it wasn't very smart. I let myself be carried away in that moment. It perhaps wasn't the best statement. So he's basically said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that LaCroix is 100% staying. He took a step back in the statement, which is a positive look. And then also, just to add to that, Crystal Palace, according to Pletty Goal, who's a reliable source, is still pushing to sign LaCroix until deadline day. Negotiations are ongoing with Wolfsburg. Key word there, until deadline day. So it could, I guess, drag out rather than happen sooner rather than later. But the latest bid, T, it would seem like we was only £3 million off the valuation if the reports are to be true.
Yeah, which is interesting to say that, just to have the, well, I guess it makes sense because the caveat is, honestly, if we notice we're only 3 million off, obviously we're not going to stop negotiating because we know that we can get something done. I guess it's just the frugalness of the deal, trying to, save as much as you can getting the deal done. A lot of people are like, just pay the 3 mil, which I completely understand. Like, just get it done, move to other things. But at least we know that we're very serious about him. At least we know that it's actually getting done. It's happening. I mean, you don't have a manager walk back a statement like that for no reason. You know what I mean? The club's probably like, "Hey, Ralph, you shut the hell up. You go out there and you go out there and you apologize. You tell them you don't know what the hell you were thinking about. You shouldn't have spoken out of line." Like, yeah, that's a guy that had to make a statement because he put his foot in his mouth, and now the club's got to do damage control because he's an idiot.
Yeah. And we'll talk about the next offender who's been linked with a move to the football club, Tomas Araujo from Benfica, according to the manager, I believe. Fabrizio Romano's tweeted this, saying that Tomas Araujo will 100% stay at Benfica this summer. So that looks a bit, from what the manager's saying, a bit more difficulty. But for you, who do you think will be joining? Who will be the Andersen replacement, if any players? Unless you're convinced
I think it's LaCroix. I think it's LaCroix. And if for some reason that it somehow doesn't happen, then you probably look maybe somebody like a Kasunu possibly. But other than me, if I had to put my money on it, I'm betting the house on LaCroix at this point. I mean, the Araujo deal is tough because not only, I mean, if they want their release clause to be honored, that's 100 million euros. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen. And so with that being said, if they don't want to sell them, they don't have to sell them. So if they're coming out and they're making those type of claims, why even waste your time trying to negotiate something like that?
Yeah. But there's of course more updates, people, for incomings. That is on left wing back now, Robin Gosens, who is, whether he's staying or not, the Union Berlin manager has spoke about that. He said the following, saying that I assume so. He has a long contract and he's had great preparation. I had great conversations with him. I think he's a very important player for us. I see no reason to let him go. That is on left wing back, which has gone a bit quiet.
Mm-hmm.
He's not really, he started off with I assume so. So he's not saying he's 100% staying like Araujo, for example, the Benfica defender. But that's an area that we still need to strengthen on, right, T?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that we've always talked about, a lot of this window has been right and left wing back, which at least we've heard things about left wing back at certain points. I mean, we haven't really heard much on that right side at all. But yeah, I mean, those two, and now what we've seen with center back with Andersen gone, those, in my honest opinion, those should be priority positions. Now, if we get one guy that can cover both sides, that's great too. At least we have someone who has acumen on both sides and can use both feet, that can be an asset to us. But I think those really need to be strengthened.
Yeah. Look, that's it for the actual transfer news. I got something come up right. Actual transfer news. Let's move on to this is what this club is doing. This club is going to kill me one day. Let's move on to John Textor news, which is quite significant. It all kicked off yesterday after we ended the stream with reports suggesting that Textor was willing to buy out Harrison Blitz's shares. However, this has come from Matt Wisdom, that report. However, today from Sky Sports, the Crystal Palace part owner John Textor has revealed that he has failed that attempt to take majority control at Selhurst Park and will now pursue a takeover deal at Everton. T, your thoughts on that? It seemed like Textor tried it one last time, and that's it. Like, it seemed like he really wanted to stay at Palace, but I mean, if you're not selling up, you're not selling up. He doesn't really have an option.
It just shows you that from the time that he joined us, his long-term view or his true purpose was to have sole control over the club. That's what he was buying into it for. And he found out about the setup and how things work with the chairman. And he was like, okay, cool, whatever. I'll go with that because in a few years' time, I'll be able to buy enough of this club to take it over. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. You know, I guess, you know, the final chance of him trying to, you know, put out there to buy the shares is like, here's my last stand. You know, I'm willing to buy those shares. I was willing to buy them back when you all were talking about trying to buy Chelsea. Harrison Blissett were trying to buy Chelsea. Here I am again, trying to do it because I want to have control of this of the club because my setup doesn't work unless I have control over the clubs. So you put your bid out, they say no, cool. I'm gonna go over and do it's just business. So it didn't work. Let me sell off and let me go find somewhere where I can do what I need to do for the multi-club setup. So
I think some Everton fans were upset about that news yesterday because it seems like he's using them as like a backup option. I mean, I would understand that as well, right? If you're looking at it from the outside, from an Everton perspective, hold up. I thought you're buying and you're interested in us. Why are you going once again to try for Palace? It doesn't seem like a great look. And yeah, look, for me, if there was going to be any changes in terms of the ownership model, let's say if Textor wanted to buy it outright, I don't know if I would have been comfortable with that. I would have preferred, you know, for everyone to leave as it is. But now it's good in a way. I like this that you know, Textor will be finally, hopefully, we're getting this solved sooner rather than later. That he will be, you know, leaving the football club because we've known that the dynamics are different in terms of, you know, how Parish sees things, how Texas sees things. So now there's no excuses from the football club. So Texas is out of the way. Someone else will come in, or it could be Harrison Blissett. It seems like taking full control, and then yeah, like, you know, you continue doing what you think is right, and then you'll be held accountable for that. So yeah, I guess it removes the excuses because we heard excuses that Texas wants to do it like this, Parish wants to do it like that. So yeah,
and the thing that I always have respected about John Textor is that he's upfront and honest about what he wants to do and what he's looking to do. He hasn't lied to anyone. He hasn't deceived anyone. He just hasn't been able to get accomplished what he wanted to get accomplished with us. And that being the case, cool. I'll sell my shares, wash my hands. I go elsewhere to try to accomplish my goal. But at least he was upfront and honest about that and communicated that to us. Because the minute that the rumors of him possibly trying to buy those shares came up, same day he released a statement like, "Hey, let me clear the air. Here's what's really going on. Here's what I'm trying to do. Here's what I tried to do. Here's what didn't happen, and this is what I'm going to do now." Like, at least he was real about that. You got to appreciate that type of upfront and honesty approach. I do appreciate that.
Yeah. Now let's move on to the press conference today. Of course, Oliver Glasner spoke ahead of the game tomorrow. And in terms of updates, Joachim Andersen, of course, has left the club in final negotiations. And now that's all confirmed. Ayew is not going to be available tomorrow, pending a move to Leicester. And Will Hughes is actually sick, and France is still out with a broken rib. But interesting, Hughes is out. Who comes in? People are saying Lerma, but for me, I think this is a very good opportunity for Doucouré to finally start. What's the wait?
I think the main thing is, like, do they still have Doucouré on the pitch count? You know what I mean? Coming off of that Achilles. Like, if he's still managing minutes and you got a guy like Jefferson Lerma who is fully healthy, I mean, that makes sense. Why? But I mean, even then, you could possibly play Decore 45 minutes in the beginning and then sub him off too. So that's why I think it's kind of like still up in the air who we might see. But my guess is that it seems like even though Decore is back, he's training, he's playing, he's still ramping up to being, fully healthy. I don't know if he's 90-minute healthy at this point, and that might be why we're not seeing him, play those minutes that we're thinking about.
Yeah, for me,
because an Achilles injury, that's a serious thing. That's tough to come back from. Like that takes a lot to come back from. So
yeah, look, I'm confident about tomorrow. Hopefully, I don't get proven wrong, but yeah, I think the way that this week has gone by, I think we're slowly getting to that point where I think we got enough to beat West Ham. I really do. I know Anderson's going to be a miss, so maybe Lerma plays in defense, or it might be Riyadh. Let's see the situation, and Decore might start in midfield. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. And then people, before we do wrap up, because we've gone a bit over time, so if you have any questions, by the way, that you really want answers, sorry, but today we're not going to be able to do it because we're very tight on time. We know this is what Oliver Glassen's added, saying that we know if we lose one or two players that we also have to replace them. We need a competitive squad over 37 Premier League games. That is the job we have to do within the next week. Right words. And I agree with him 100%. We need to replace them, but that's the job we need to do within the next week. But it's not like it's a job that we haven't done yet, because we've still got, as you mentioned, the week. So yeah. So I think that was interesting. But as Twisted is saying, can we please smash the like button, people? Thanks to every single one of you that's liked, subscribed so far. As I've said, unfortunately, we can't go through the questions. I'm so sorry for that, but I am running late. I've got an appointment. So thanks to every single one of you that's tuned into this. If you have any questions, by the way, that you do want answered, put them in the comment section down below and we'll try to go through them. That's it from me and T. But before we go, tomorrow, live watch along, T and Tim will be running you through the game. After the game, live match reaction, where I'll be on with Hambo. Then we've also got a player ratings as well. So make sure to check out all of them content, as well as match preview dropping on Sunday, looking ahead to the cup game against Norwich. Busy days ahead. Let's hope tomorrow, people, we can start it off at home anyways with a win. And hopefully all this anxiety and worry could go away. But of course, let's see what happens tomorrow. But until next time, up the Palace.
Up the Palace.